Hey everyone, this video is near and dear to my heart. It's actually all based upon logic. When you are someone that is creative, sensitive, maybe you've been termed an empath or just emotional, you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, pun intended. You have a lot of gifting to feel other people's feelings, which helps you be a good coach, teacher, healer, or in the healthcare field. But if you're not careful, the emotions can overpower and exhaust you, make you feel burned out, shift you to the side of anxiety or depression. So I have really found it to be helpful to incorporate more logic. When you think of the game chess, it's all about kind of analyzing your moves and not reacting impulsively. Let's say, for example, the queen is right next to you and you know you can take that queen immediately with your pawn in that one move. And I apologize, I'm in a park, so if you hear people walk by, I'll have to just kind of pause. But if you take that queen impulsively because you emotionally are so excited that I'm going to get the queen, then you might be missing out on the advantage that could come in the long run 3 moves ahead. So what I found with my recovery is my emotions can feel so strong and powerful in that moment. But if I stop and I pause and I kind of sit in the feelings and let them balance out, I can logically talk myself through. So I wanted to create this video to talk about the power of using the tool of logic during your eating disorder recovery journey. My dog, my new sweet little sheepadoodle, Rook, I'll put some photos in the front of this video. Her name is Rook, my favorite chess piece, because it's a badass chess piece, pardon my French. Very powerful, I think. I love the Rook. But it reminds me to use logic if I feel overwhelmed or if I feel like a potential new challenge. I guess you can use the word trigger, or kind of just second guessing yourself, being too much in your head. I can turn to my logic and pull myself out of the emotion enough to where I can be the observer of my emotion and my thoughts, and I can say, that thought is not really me, but aspects of that thought do resonate closely with the core of who I am. And it can really help you take that next step to progress to your next phase of healing. So I want to give some examples because I think it's helpful to kind of apply examples that you might be able to relate to or could be similar to things that you've been challenged with. I did a really great birthday trip to Lisbon, Portugal, which I highly recommend. If you love San Francisco, you will absolutely love Lisbon. It's the European version of San Francisco. Super affordable, gorgeous red bridge that looks just like the Golden Gate Bridge. I think I might put a photo of Lisbon in this video as well. Anyway, back on track. So my ultimate dream was to always just be able to travel around the world, taste and eat different food and different cultures, and not be in my head worried the entire time, like how much weight might I gain on this trip, and when I come home, how painful is it going to be restricting myself to try to get back to the weight that I feel most comfortable at. And so this trip to Lisbon, I was pretty far along in my healing journey. I didn't really label myself as having an eating disorder anymore, yet I still kind of struggled with the analysis of, if I eat this, maybe I can balance it that way, or I know I should kind of stay in this range of calories or portion sizes of 3 meals and a snack, because that's what works for me, and I'd rather kind of maintain my weight on this trip than having to come home and work out more and restrict myself to get back to a weight that I feel comfortable at. So during this trip, I told myself it was really important for me to just be with my best friend and kind of relax into the pattern of eating, but also I didn't want to overdo it or underdo it to where I don't feel well. And then I'm really in my head and I don't have a very good trip. So I found myself using a lot of logic. I remember we went to a beautiful brunch one day and, I had a fun cocktail. I had some really unique, different foods of Lisbon, and I felt pretty content after the meal, but I started to feel hungry, and I wanted to beat myself up, like, you shouldn't feel hungry, you just had a really big brunch, and according to your estimated, energy movement leading up to this meal, that should have been just enough. But I didn't. I told myself, these are emotions, let's think about this logically. Logically, we've been doing a lot more walking than I normally would in the evening after dinner, to all of our meals, to the brunch, and we still had some other activities planned. So it was highly likely that my body was needing more. So in that moment, I said, okay, great. My body does really need more fuel. What sounds good? So then I was thinking sweets, and a lot of times if you're running behind, your body will crave more of that quick carb, which is a good thing. That's going to break down and give you more immediate energy. So I was wanting some sort of dessert, which we ended up finding this cute little cafe, and I had some desserts, and we ended up going on a nice bike ride, but it ended up all working out. In that example, it would have been so easy to just really get kind of depressed and beat myself up and be like, you shouldn't have been hungry for dessert, and I may have just been in the restrictive personality of, no, you're not allowed to have that, thin people don't eat that way, and no dessert for you, that's enough, just ignore it, don't listen to your body, we're gonna have dinner later. That would have been kind of one of my older approaches to maintaining my weight. But I didn't. Instead, I was like, yeah, logically, I probably do need that. You know what? I'm going to honor my body, and I know I'm not the best at this yet, but I think it's going to be okay. So I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to enjoy it. And guess what? It was okay. So some other examples of logic balancing emotions. When it comes to eating disorders, I'm sure you've heard a lot of times that it's not really about the food. It's more of what can I control. And I like to say eating disorders are more emotional dysregulation disorders, meaning you're not very good at balancing out your emotions, and so it can be easy to soothe yourself with controlling what you eat. So, well, I'm worried about this, well, I'll restrict my food, well, at least I'm thin and beautiful, and that will keep me safe, and that means I'm valuable. Or, I'm stressed out about that, this person didn't like how I said something, maybe I'm not good enough, I'm going to go soothe myself with some cheesecake, and I'm not just going to have one slice. I never enjoy cheesecake, and I never allow myself, and well, I guess I'll just go ahead and enjoy it now, and I'll do better tomorrow. I'll restrict tomorrow to balance it out. So in those moments, it's not really about the food, but it's more those emotions, the deep-rooted emotions. And when I find myself in situations where I'm like, I just, ate a really well-balanced breakfast and lunch, and I'm still feeling not satisfied with what could be going on, then I sit there and I kind of analyze through what's been going on in the past couple days of my life. And I can usually find a core emotion. Let's say it was my fiance didn't agree with me about something. The floors weren't clean enough, and I internalized it as, I'm not good enough, the house is never going to be clean enough. And then I stop and I work through those emotions, and I get to logically say, no, that's his emotion, it's not mine. What do I believe about myself? I believe I'm kind, I'm loving, I do my best, do my part of the chores and contribute to a relationship. But guess what? I'm a human and I can't do it all. I will get overwhelmed. It will be too much at times. That's what I believe. That logically is the truth. And I'm allowed to be imperfect as a human, just like he is allowed to be imperfect as a human as well. And if I accept his flaws of imperfection, then he should also equally, as a partnership, accept my flaws. And once I work through those emotions by using logic, kind of talking through those emotions, then I realize, oh gosh, I'm feeling much better. Now, another part to that is if you've been restricting and not allowing yourself to eat food that you really do love and enjoy, then it might be a little bit of both. It might be there's an emotion that's a little bit of a trigger, plus you've been restricting, you never get to have this fun food. So why don't I combine both? And then it is when you might feel like you need to binge because you've been restricted, plus you're emotionally not loving yourself. So I think you have to work on both, but logic is so helpful in that situation. There could be other things that happen in your career where someone, let's say, is gossiping about you. This is something that I faced in life. And maybe you always thought they thought well of you and you got along great with them and you've done really nice things to keep that relationship close, and you saw this person as a friend, and then you find that they've been talking about you behind your back, and it's just so emotionally overwhelming because you never saw yourself that way. So in those situations, again, applying logic. Am I going to go run out my emotions tonight because someone was talking about me? Am I going to not eat dinner because I'm feeling depressed that I'm not good enough according to someone's opinion of what I overheard them saying? No. Instead, you can say, well, that's their opinion. There might be something going on in their life that they're feeling insecure about themselves, or they're hurting themselves and they're projecting that onto me, because who am I? I know I'm kind and I'm loving and I'm fun and creative, and I've given them really nice cards on their annual celebration of their career day. I've listened to them when they've had struggles. I've really been a caring, empathetic, good friend to them. Hey, maybe from time to time I could have come across a certain way, but I know that's not who I am. So then that emotion kind of comes back down to a base level, and then logically I can decide, okay, now am I still feeling hungry? Well, then it could be real hunger, and let's go ahead and enjoy a scoop of ice cream if that's what I'm emotionally wanting in this situation. So kind of that step-by-step process of pausing, analyzing what you're feeling, apply some logic to make you feel secure, and realizing that each time you get triggered or in situations that you just have to pull out your tools and go through those steps to really bring awareness to your patterns. And then over time, you start to quickly notice the pattern, and you can kind of smooth it out so naturally that you just flow through it. And that's kind of the ultimate, is when you're able to use that tool of logic to just naturally love yourself and understand yourself so well that other people's opinions of you have no hold on you, that A, B, and C that used to maybe trigger you has no emotional reaction on you, because you become so solid in who you are, and you start to just understand when and what your body truly needs, to where you're not as vulnerable. Until next video, thank you so much for taking time to listen, and hopefully you learned something great that you can apply to become one step closer to your own personal growth and self-mastery, which is a great feeling.